everyone, this is Fahad Syed from Pixel Icons, and we're going to be playing Dark Souls. This playthrough of this game will focus on the design decisions, the gameplay, and the design of Dark Souls, how it's presented to the player, and a small aspect of the lore. Not too far in detail, because it's available in other places on YouTube. We're going to be playing a new game from the start. So let's get right into it. Little history about the game before we begin. Dark Souls came out in 2011 for the Xbox 360 and PS3. It was the sequel to the PS3 exclusive Demon's Souls, also by From Software. This game, as well as the first game, the third game, and Bloodborne were directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki. When Miyazaki was a kid, he was fascinated with Western stories of fantasy, but his English wasn't the best, so he was only able to comprehend small pieces of the story. It was up to him to take these fragmented pieces and stitch them together to create a coherent story. In that same vein or theme, Dark Souls is very heavily inspired by that idea. When we start a new game, we're presented with this screen here, which is the character creation screen. Gives us a couple of fields, well, more than a couple. We've got about, 7 to be exact. We got sex, class, gift, physique, face, hair color, and I guess name, so 8. And now we get to create our character. So I'm just going to go in order here. Let's create a name. I'm not the best with names. Let's just go with something that makes sense for the channel. Pixel Icons. I've played through every single Souls game. The only Souls game I haven't beaten is Demon's Souls. I played that one first, maybe about 6 months after it came out. It didn't really speak to me until I started to play Dark Souls, until I really realized what these games were about. I played through all of them as a guy, so I guess this time for this playthrough, I'll play through as a girl. Class. Dark Souls and the Souls games have class-based systems, but unlike other RPGs, you're not locked into the class that you choose at the beginning of the game. There's nothing stopping you from choosing Sorcerer at the beginning and then never using magic throughout the game. You're not even at a disadvantage for doing this because when you level up, those stats to the left side of the screen that we're seeing, you get to choose which ones you raise. You aren't locked into raising a specific set. So by picking a class here, we're just picking the initial conditions that we want for our character. Let's go through and briefly look at each class. This warrior here starts with the long sword and the heater shield. A fearless warrior, weapon expert, high strength, and dexterity. This is if we wanted to use a weapons build that allowed us to use both weapon types. A warrior would be a good starting point. The knight has a lot of health. It's a low-ranking knight with high HP, solid armor, and not easily toppled. We've got a crest shield and a short sword, or a broadsword. That might be a broadsword, I'm not exactly sure. The wanderer is our high dex class. Wields a scimitar. Nice little hood. The thief is a guilt-ridden thief, and the thief actually also starts with the master key, which is an important starting item. We're not going to be picking the thief. The bandit is our high strength class. The hunter is our ranged class. This is their physical range class. He uses a bow. We get to start with the leather armor, which is pretty cool. I think a leather wooden shield. And a short sword. The sorcerer is our class that focuses on casting. It uses soul sorceries. The sorcerers are from Vinheim and the Dragon School. What's interesting is we do get some flavor text in each one of these descriptions, and it's usually only a sentence or two, but it tells us very succinctly some lore about all these things. Interestingly enough, we also have the Pyromancer. The Pyromancer is the only class that starts out at level 1, which allows players to conduct a soul level 1 playthrough of the game. We notice that it's a cracked wooden shield too here. That's pretty cool. Interesting enough, the game makes a distinction between pyromancy, casting fire spells, and sorcery, casting magic spells or soul sorceries. We get our clerics, which seem to cast divine miracles using a mace, and they're on a holy pilgrimage. And then we have the Deprived, which has the same starting stat, 11 for every single category except for Humanity. Has also the high starting level, but has probably the worst gear. The Reinforced Club and the Wooden Plank Shield. Although the Reinforced Club is a very good weapon. We're going to be picking Warrior, since it gives us the opportunity to go either or when it comes to weapon choice. We get to also choose a starting gift, which is almost like an awesome little starting item that we get to pick. Let's go through, briefly read each one, and then make the decision. I already know which one I want. Goddess's Blessing gives us full HP and status. It's like Divine Holy Water. Black Firebombs are more potent firebombs that we can throw. Twin Humanities, what are these? They're tiny sprites called Humanity, and they're sometimes found on carcasses. That's strange. It's interesting to note we also have a Humanity stat. I wonder if these two play together. Binoculars allow us to peer away at far sights. Pendant. It's a trinket. It seems to have no effect, but fond memories comfort travelers. The Master Key is the starting item for the Thief class. If we wanted the Master Key on another class, we could choose to pick it here. The Tiny Being's Ring. The description for this is a bit ominous. The HP recovers slowly while equipped isn't exactly true. The Old Witch's Ring. Gift from a witch. Ancient ring with no obvious effect. You'll notice right off the bat that a lot of these items seem slightly cryptic, like these three. The Pendant, the Tiny Being's Ring, and the Old Witch's Ring. Also, I guess the Twin Humanities is pretty cryptic too. Why don't we go ahead and pick the Old Witch's Ring? I'm going to pick an average physique. Now, when we pick our faces, it's interesting to note that these faces are categorized by different types, almost like races. Why don't we take a peek at every single one? So the Commoner has a very average Commoner face. Delta Farmer, commonly seen face in the 5-finger delta. Interesting to note that even in the character creation menu, as other people have observed, they are already giving us lore about the world. This fully immerses you from the get-go into your character creation and the world of this game. At least that's the intent. Beautiful face of the refined, common Astora. Intelligent, sharp lines, but scholarly looks invite insult. Dragon Scholars, those seem to be from Vinheim. The Sorcerer was a Dragon School sorcerer. Thurlin Cleric, Jubilant Katarina, and so on. We're actually going to pick the Astora royalty, because all the badass characters in this game are from Astora, so ergo, I am from Astora. The hair categories, or the hair options, also have, some of them have flavor text which can be considered lore, like the long braided hair, which is as the old nobility. Let's pick that. And we get to pick colors. It's cool that in dark purple here it tells us that it's a rare color of a near extinct race. So we're going to go with red, I guess. We can choose to customize our character. We can create a similar face, a random face. And the customization is pretty in-depth, actually. We can go through a lot of these little sliders here and make our character look exactly how we want to. You can make your character young and old, masculine and feminine, and so on. We're going to keep with this, and why don't we go ahead and get started on our first playthrough of Dark Souls. Your first playthrough of Dark Souls, that is. Because it's not my first playthrough of Dark Souls. However, I'm going to be playing through this game almost like it was my first playthrough. I may be a little bit more competent in terms of game mechanics, but I'm going to try to illustrate how the game conveys its mechanics and its worlds through you, pretending to be a player who's playing through the first time. Okay, to start game with this character? Yeah, let's do this.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side. Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Alright, guys. So, in this episode, we created our character, we went through the introduction cutscene, and we woke up in a jail cell in the Northern Undead Asylum. Guys, this has been Fahad Syed from Pixel Icons. Our character looks like ground up Brahmin meat. Signing out.